You already know cloves are good for you, in a vague sort of way. Most people do. But there are 15 specific documented things this spice does inside your body that almost nobody is talking about. And at least a few of them are going to genuinely catch you off guard. Because the research on cloves is remarkable, not eat more vegetables, remarkable. Specifically, measurably, surprisingly remarkable, in ways that don't get talked about. Because cloves don't have a marketing budget and nobody's getting rich telling you to use more of the spice that's already in your cabinet. We're going through all 15 benefits, grouped into areas that actually matter for people in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. Blood sugar and metabolism, inflammation and joint comfort, gut health, immune function, bones, oral health, and a couple that are going to surprise you. I'll also tell you what the research actually supports versus what's still early stage, because I'd rather give you an honest picture than oversell something and have you disappointed. This isn't about adding a miracle spice to your life. It's about finally taking seriously something that's been sitting in your kitchen for years and understanding exactly why you should. Let's go through it. Most of us use cloves the way we use nutmeg, once in a while, in something specific, and then the jar goes back in the cabinet for another 3 months. That's exactly why most people never notice a difference. The active compounds in cloves, eugenol, manganese, a whole family of polyphenols, don't work in a single dose. They work the way good nutrition works, cumulatively, consistently. Your body responds to what you give it regularly, not to what you gave it once last Tuesday. So the real question isn't, are cloves good for you? The question is, what happens to someone who makes this a genuine daily habit? A pinch in their coffee, a clove in their oatmeal, a spice blend on their eggs, over months and years? Think about what actually changes as people move through their 40s and 50s. It's not usually one dramatic event. It starts smaller. One morning you realize you've been sitting at the kitchen table for 20 minutes waiting for your body to feel ready, when 5 years ago you just got up and went. Then the afternoon energy that used to carry you through until 7 or 8 starts dropping out by 3. Getting winded carrying groceries up a flight of stairs becomes something that happens now. The garden that used to take a whole Saturday now takes the whole weekend because you need the Sunday to recover. None of it is dramatic. None of it is a diagnosis. It just quietly becomes the new normal. And most people accept it. They adjust their expectations downward and tell themselves this is just what this age feels like. But a lot of what drives those changes, the inflammation, the blood sugar instability, the gradual mineral depletion, the slowly shifting gut environment, these are things that respond to what you put in your body every day. They're not fixed. They're not inevitable. They're diet sensitive. That's the case for daily, not because cloves are magic, but because your body is keeping score every single day, and a spice that delivers measurable antioxidant activity, documented anti-inflammatory compounds, and over half your daily manganese in a single teaspoon is worth putting on that scorecard consistently. So, 15 benefits. Let's get into them. Benefit 1. Blood sugar regulation. This is the one with the strongest human evidence, so it goes first. There was a pilot study published in BMC Complementary Medicine and Therapies in 2019 where participants took a polyphenol-rich clove extract once a day for 30 days. 13 volunteers split into those with normal blood sugar and those in the pre-diabetic range. Post-meal blood sugar came down in both groups, and in the pre-diabetic group, fasting levels dropped too. So what does that mean in practical terms? Your body processes the sugar and carbohydrates from a meal by releasing insulin. Clove compounds, particularly eugenol, appear to mimic some of insulin's signaling activity, helping glucose move into cells more efficiently. The spike after you eat becomes less sharp. The crash that follows becomes less severe. And if you're over 45, that matters more than you might think. Insulin sensitivity declines with age. The post-meal blood sugar swings that your body used to smooth out quietly now take longer, hit harder, and leave you feeling it. That heavy, foggy, can't quite focus feeling after lunch that a lot of people just accept as normal. It doesn't have to be. Benefit 2. Metabolic enzyme support. Separate from eugenol, cloves contain another compound that animal research showed can increase insulin secretion and improve the function of the cells that produce it. Think of it as supporting the factory, not just the product. The research here is thinner than the blood sugar data. Animal models, not human trials, but the mechanism is real. and it points to cloves doing something broader than a single glucose effect. They appear to support the underlying metabolic infrastructure. Benefit 3. Cholesterol and triglycerides. Studies in people with type 2 diabetes found that 1 to 3 grams of cloves daily for a month helped manage not just blood glucose, but triglycerides and cholesterol levels too. This is in a diabetic population, so extrapolating requires caution. But the direction of effect is consistent. Cloves seem to help the body handle dietary fat and sugar more cleanly. I'll be honest, this is one I see people overlook entirely. They focus on the anti-inflammatory angle or the antioxidant numbers, and they miss that cloves are doing something meaningful at the metabolic level, which, for most people in their 50s trying to manage their numbers through diet, is actually the most immediately useful thing on this list. Benefit 4. Digestive enzyme activation. Pay attention to this one, because it's the benefit most people actually notice first, usually within the first week or two of eating cloves daily. Eugenol stimulates the secretion of digestive enzymes in the gut. More enzymes means food gets broken down more thoroughly. More thorough breakdown means less fermentation, less gas, less of that uncomfortable bloated after dinner feeling that a lot of people in this age group have quietly normalized. I had someone tell me once they'd been dealing with bloating after every meal for years, tried probiotics, tried cutting dairy, tried everything, started adding half a teaspoon of ground cloves to their morning oatmeal. 2 weeks later, they said it was the first thing that actually made a noticeable difference. Not a cure, but a consistent daily shift. That's the kind of change that compounds. Benefit 5. Gut motility. Related to digestion but distinct. Cloves have been shown to improve gut motility, the rate at which food moves through the digestive tract. Slow motility is behind a lot of the constipation and sluggishness that increases with age. Eugenol relaxes smooth muscle in the GI tract in a way that encourages things to keep moving. This is where cloves' long track record in traditional medicine, Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine, Indonesian herbal practice, actually lines up with what modern research is finding mechanistically. The traditional use wasn't random, it was pattern recognition over centuries. The science is now explaining why it worked. Benefit 6. Reducing chronic inflammation. Eugenol has been shown in multiple studies to directly suppress inflammatory signaling in the body. A 2023 review in Inflammopharmacology, pulling from animal models and human clinical data, found it reduced inflammatory activity across arthritis, cardiovascular, and colitis models. At the molecular level, it binds to C-reactive protein, which is your body's primary inflammation marker, the one your doctor measures when they want to know how much background fire your immune system is dealing with. And this is the part most people miss. Inflammation isn't just about pain, it's about drain. When your body is running a low-level inflammatory response day in and day out, from processed food, from poor sleep, from chronic stress, it costs you energy, clarity, recovery, that general feeling of being slightly less than yourself that you can't quite put your finger on. That's what chronic inflammation feels like from the inside. A daily anti-inflammatory compound isn't going to reverse that alone, but it's consistently working in the right direction, and direction, maintained daily, becomes distance. Benefit 7. Joint comfort. Eugenol's anti-inflammatory action has a specific downstream effect on joint tissue. Less inflammatory signaling means less swelling, less morning stiffness, less of that aching before you've done anything feeling that a lot of people in their 50s consider unavoidable. Animal research also shows it may support bone density directly, meaning cloves are potentially working at the structural level, not just the symptomatic one. The human data is still developing, but the direction is consistent. Benefit 8. Oral health. Okay, so this one has some of the cleanest evidence on the list, and it's one that almost nobody talks about. A study published in the Journal of Indian Society of Periodontology tested a herbal mouthwash containing cloves over 21 days. At the end of that period, participants showed measurable improvement in gum health scores and a significant reduction in bacterial buildup in the mouth compared to their baseline, 21 days, just from consistent daily contact with clove compounds. Eugenol has been used in professional dentistry for centuries. It's in dental cements, root canal sealers, temporary fillings. That's not folk medicine. That's applied clinical chemistry. It kills bacteria, reduces inflammation in gum tissue, and has a mild anesthetic effect on irritated nerve endings. When you eat cloves daily, when they pass through your mouth, when you chew them, when the oils make contact with your gum line, you're getting a version of that effect every single day. It's not a substitute for brushing, but it is a meaningful daily addition for anyone dealing with gum sensitivity, recurring bad breath, or that general low-level oral inflammation that gets worse with age. Benefit 9. Immune function. Eugenol's antioxidant activity reduces oxidative stress on immune cells, which helps them function more effectively. Animal research has also shown that clove essential oil can increase white blood cell count, your body's frontline infection response, though the evidence on this specific effect in humans is still early. What's better established is the antimicrobial picture, which leads to Benefit 10. Benefit 10. Antibacterial activity. Cloves have documented activity against multiple pathogenic bacteria, including strains of E. coli responsible for food poisoning, and H. pylori, the bacteria behind a significant percentage of stomach ulcers. Research published in Tropical Life Sciences found antimicrobial elements in clove extract were effective against bacteria commonly responsible for urinary tract infections. Let me put that in context. You're not using cloves instead of antibiotics. That's not the point. The point is that your gut, your mouth, your urinary tract, these are environments where bacterial balance matters every single day, and a daily food source with consistent antimicrobial activity is quietly helping maintain that balance in the background. It's not dramatic. It's maintenance, and maintenance, done daily, is what keeps the larger problems from developing. Benefit 11. Bone density and manganese. This one stops people every time. 1 teaspoon of ground cloves delivers over 50% of your daily recommended manganese intake, more than most dedicated bone health supplements. From a spice, that costs about $3 for a jar that lasts 6 months. Manganese isn't calcium. Most people haven't heard much about it, but it's the mineral that activates the enzymes responsible for building bone matrix. Without adequate manganese, your body cannot lay down new bone tissue properly, no matter how much calcium you're getting. It's the construction worker, not the raw material. And this matters specifically after 50. Bone density loss accelerates in the decade following menopause in women, and more gradually but consistently in men as testosterone declines. Most people aren't getting anywhere near enough manganese from their diet, and most bone health conversations stop at calcium and vitamin D, never mentioning the enzyme activation that makes those minerals actually work. 1 teaspoon of cloves daily, 50% of your manganese. That's not a small thing. Benefit 12. Liver support. I want to be upfront here. The human data on this one is limited. Most of what we know comes from animal studies, but those animal studies are consistent. Clove extract has been shown to reduce markers of liver injury, lower oxidative stress in liver tissue, and improve function in models of fatty liver disease. Eugenol appears to reduce the inflammatory load on the liver and support its natural detoxification pathways. For people who drink alcohol occasionally, take regular medications, or eat the kind of diet most of us eat, the liver is working hard every day. A daily compound that reduces the oxidative burden on that organ, even modestly, is worth knowing about. Just don't confuse supportive with protective. Cloves don't cancel out other habits. They contribute to a direction. Benefit 13. Antioxidant activity and cellular aging. Cloves score around 290,000 antioxidant units per 100 grams on the ORAC scale, roughly 60 times higher than blueberries per gram. 1 teaspoon beats half a cup of pomegranate juice. But what does that actually mean for aging? Free radicals are unstable molecules produced by normal metabolism, stress, poor diet, and environmental exposure. Over time, their accumulation damages cell membranes, your DNA, and the energy-producing machinery inside your cells. That damage is a primary driver of how we age at the cellular level. Antioxidants neutralize free radicals before they do that damage. Eating cloves daily means your body gets a consistent, concentrated supply of antioxidant compounds working against that process every single day, not a one-time megadose, a sustained daily contribution to the cleanup operation your body is already running. Benefit 14. Stomach lining protection. This one surprises people. Eugenol has been shown to stimulate the production of gastric mucus, the protective layer that lines your stomach and shields it from its own digestive acids. Thicker, more robust mucus means a lower risk of the erosion that leads to ulcers. In test tube research, clove oil has also shown activity against H. pylori, the bacteria behind a significant majority of peptic ulcers. For anyone who's ever dealt with acid sensitivity, reflux, or that general digestive rawness that gets more common with age and medication use, this mechanism is worth understanding. Cloves aren't a treatment for existing ulcers, but daily use may be quietly supporting the defense system that prevents them. Benefit 15. Brain and cognitive protection. Save the best for last. This is the one most people haven't heard, and for anyone in their 50s thinking about the long game, this one matters. The antioxidant compounds in cloves, particularly eugenol, cross into the central nervous system and reduce oxidative stress in brain tissue. Research has shown this in animal models. The brain is extraordinarily vulnerable to free radical damage. It uses about 20% of the body's oxygen despite being only 2% of its mass, which means it generates a disproportionate amount of oxidative byproduct. And unlike most other tissues, neurons don't regenerate easily. Cognitive decline isn't a switch that gets flipped. It's a slow accumulation of small damage, daily, over decades. The same logic that applies to joints and blood vessels applies here. Consistent antioxidant activity, maintained daily, is one of the best studied tools we have for slowing that accumulation. Nobody is saying cloves prevent dementia. That would be irresponsible. But a daily source of brain protective antioxidant compounds, alongside good sleep, regular movement, and a diet rich in whole foods, that's a serious evidence-informed stack, and cloves are one of the cheapest, easiest pieces of it. So, what do you actually do with this? Start simple. Half a teaspoon of ground cloves in your morning coffee or oatmeal, a whole clove or two in a cup of hot water or tea, a clove-heavy spice blend on your eggs or roasted vegetables. Any of these gets you a meaningful daily dose without changing your routine in any dramatic way. The FDA has cloves on its generally recognized as safe list at culinary doses. A teaspoon a day is well within that range for most people. The one caveat, if you're on blood thinners or have an upcoming procedure, check with your doctor first. Eugenol has mild blood-thinning activity. That's it. 15 benefits. One spice, $3. Already in your cabinet. You know what it does now. The only question is whether you're going to start using it like you mean it. Subscribe if you want more of this. I break down the actual science behind everyday foods every week. See you in the next one.